So last year, we made a video explaining how our live rig runs sound for both of our guitars, provides us with in-ear monitoring, allows us to record all of our live shows, and runs our dynamic video backdrops. But guess what? It got better. So starting at the top here, we have 3 LD Systems IEM transmitters. These are what send our in-ear monitor mix to the 3 of us at the front of the stage. They are fed audio from our Presonus Studiolive 16R rack mixer. That's what's actually doing the control of our in-ear monitor mix nowadays. Below it we have our trusty Line 6 Helix rack unit. It's a lot less busy than it used to be in our previous setup, but it's still very, very important. And down at the very bottom here we have our Behringer EPQ 900 power amp, and that's what actually makes the guitar cabs nice and loud when they're on stage. And all of this fits within a 6U rack case, making it lovely and portable in order for us to get on and off stage very, very quickly. So I'm going to start up here first of all with our microphones, because procedurally this is where the biggest change has been for us. We're all now running SE Electronics V7 microphones attached to a Y cable. Reason for this is we used to have to rely on the sound engineer giving us a feed from the desk to get our vocals into our ears, but that sometimes had varying sound levels, and it's an extra thing that the sound engineer doesn't really need to be worrying about when he's trying to hurry a band onto the stage. So nowadays we just take the cable from the back of the existing mic that's there, plug it into our Y split, swap out for our own mic, and we are good to go. So another place that we're going to have to throw up some mics is the drum kit. Again, to save time and avoid us having to repatch things on a stage when we're time limited and ready to get going, we're just going to throw up our own mics rather than try to do a split of the ones that are existing on the kit. We use 3 AKG C518 condenser mics to clip onto each one of the shells on Dan's drum kit, and for our bass drum we have a Behringer 19A that we're just going to throw into the bass port at the front of the stage. All of that's connected to a 4 cable loom that we can run back to the box and easily connect things up to feed our in-ears. So last but not least, let's talk about the guitars. Now Gav has his own pedal board for his bass guitar, and on that pedal board he has a Dark Glass Alpha Omega preamp. Now that preamp has 2 outputs from it, one of which is going to go directly to his amp on stage, the other is the DI out, which we're going to take into our rack mixer here. Likewise, Trav has his own pedal board at the front of stage as well. He runs a Line 6 Helix LT, and he's going to send a non-cab simulated version of a signal into the guitar in on the Helix rack here, and that's going to run along his bottom signal path. We're going to send 1 copy of that signal to the power amp at the bottom of the unit, and then we're going to cab simulate his signal here and send that to our rack mixer in the back of the unit there, and that's what we're actually going to hear in our ears. I have my own set of effects running along the top here. My guitar just goes wireless direct to this unit in the back, and I can control that using my floorboard at the front of the stage. Each one of our songs has its own patch, and those patches all have a unique MIDI identifier, and this is going to come in really handy later on. Again, this gets sent to the power amp first of all, so it can go out to the stage cabinets and be nice and loud, and then it gets cab simulated here and sent into our rack mixer so it sounds nicer into our ears. So now that we've routed all of our instruments and our vocal mics into our rack mixer, it's going to take care of everything that we hear in our ears when we're playing live. Using the software that's built into the rack mixer, we can change what we hear independent of each other, so we can all have the mix that we want to hear without affecting anybody else on the stage. Dan takes his mix from the main output. There's a headphone jack on the front of the unit that we can just plug straight into. As soon as he's sat behind the drum kit, he doesn't need to be running around the stage, he doesn't need to be wireless. There are 3 stereo outputs on the back of the unit. One of those stereo outputs feeds my mix, the second feeds Trav's mix, and Gav gets a mono mix because we're going to need one of those outputs for our last little trick. So as well as managing all of the audio for our in-ear monitoring system, the rack mixer also acts as an audio interface, meaning we can send all of those tracks to Reaper on our laptop and record all of our live sessions, enabling us to look back over our performances, highlight where things have gone well, and focus on areas that we think need improvement. We can also send audio back out from this session using this little channel here. We can set up samples that can be triggered using MIDI information sent from the helix. However, using the MIDI capabilities of the helix, we can do so much more than just trigger audio. Using a program on the laptop called OBS, or Open Broadcast Software, we can also trigger video clips. Seeing as our power amps for our guitars are housed within the central rack unit that we have, and we don't need to take traditional amp heads to shows with us, we normally take along a couple of big screens that we can put on top of our cabs instead. We use this to play back those video clips. As we mentioned earlier, each one of our songs has a unique MIDI identifier attached to it, so when I change the patch, I can change the name of the song that displays on the screen. Now, certain ones of our songs also have audio and video samples that play within them. Again, at the touch of a button, I can play back these samples.
It is not the baton, it is a very naughty boy!
So there you have it. A not so brief insight into our current live rig. Hopefully this has been interesting or insightful to you in some way. If there is any question, do please feel free to let us know in the comments. I'm more than happy to answer them for you. But in the meantime, we hope to see you on a stage nearby sometime soon. Ciao now.